Trent Richardson, what happened to him? Like, what can we learn from his situation? And where the hell is he now? Coming up.
Yeah, you'll never know quitter, 'cause I'ma go get her.
Trent Richardson's a Florida boy. Went to the same high school as Emmitt Smith, broke his rushing record. He ran for over 2,000 yards as a senior in high school. He actually had a game in high school where he ran for 419 yards and 6 touchdowns. That wasn't even his first 400-yard game. Coming out of high school, Trent Richardson was the number 2 back in the nation. So how did he go from that to this? We'll get there. Let's keep it moving. By the way, if you enjoyed these videos, man, don't forget, bro, click the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new. I drop tons of content just like this. Check out our Forgotten Football Stars playlist, and I'm only adding to it every day. Trent Richardson decided to attend Alabama, where Nick Saban said he was the key piece to his recruiting class. And no pun intended, but Trent hit the ground running. Even though he split time as a part of a 3-back system that included Heisman winning running back Mark Ingram, as a true freshman at Alabama in the heart of the SEC, Trent ran for 751 yards with 8 touchdowns. At this point, he was averaging 5.2 yards per carry. Also, the true freshman didn't freeze in a big moment. When Alabama made it to the national championship, Trent ran for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. His sophomore season was similar to his first year, but his junior year, after Mark Ingram went pro, that's when they really turned Trent loose. Every game seemed like he was going over 100 yards. He actually tied Sean Alexander's record running for 100 yards 6 games straight, and he achieved the 100-yard mark a total of 9 times. He set new career highs for himself multiple times that year. 183 yards. Nah, scratch that. 203 yards. I mean, he was beasting. He was the first Alabama running back to win the Doak Walker Running Back Award, and he finished 3rd in the Heisman voting. Now, that was the year where RG3 and Andrew Luck was just going crazy on the field. Not for that, he'd have won it. He set a new career rushing record at Alabama with 1,679 yards. He scored a total of 24 touchdowns and helped lead Alabama to his 2nd national championship. He was projected as the top running back in the draft by far, and he was drafted 3rd overall behind those 2 guys that I mentioned earlier. Anyway, Trent went to the Browns, and a lot of y'all will say, Flem, you can stop the video right there. And while I'm sure even Browns fans can appreciate the humor in that, this is where the story actually starts to get interesting. So what the hell happened to Trent? Finally, let's get into it. Well, it was the perfect storm, really. First off, he had surgery to remove some cartilage from his knee, and he missed the entire preseason. Some people may not see this as a big deal. I do. However, Trent made it back for the season opener and ran for a whopping 39 yards on 19 carries. Yes, that's terrible. However, he bounced back the following week, man. Got 19 carries again, this time 109 yards. All in all, he ended up having a pretty good rookie season. He broke Jim Brown's rookie touchdown record. He finished his rookie year with 950 yards, just under 1,000, and ran for 11 touchdowns. He also caught 51 passes for another 327 yards, although he did fumble the ball 3 times. But regardless to that, Trent's rookie season, like I said, was a pretty good one. It was so good to the point where some of his NFL peers actually voted him as the 71st best player in the league when they did the top 100 for that season. But move that to the side. One of the things that caused a lot of people concern was Trent's 3.6 yards per carry average, which was the lowest of any rookie in 2012. Trent's lack of vision or ability to find running lanes was a huge concern for the Browns staff, and this is something that they were watching very, very close. Unfortunately, this wasn't the only type of vision that Trent lacked. How many of y'all remember or have heard like the MC Hammer going broke jokes? I remember hearing these a ton. I'm from like a poor neighborhood and goddamn everybody was broke, so I don't know what was so funny, but I digress. Anyway, eventually I found out exactly what happened to Hammer, man. Supplying these huge entourages and supporting so many people. So right at that point, most people realized, okay, that ain't something that you're gonna be able to do, to sustain. Even when you made the type of money that Hammer had made at that time. But either Trent never heard of this or he just completely ignored it. And Trent, being what Nick Saban even called the quintessential nice guy, We want to please everyone. And he didn't say it in a derogatory way. He said it in an empathetic way. But that's how he described Trent. It's just important that I state that. So as people will almost always do, Trent's family and friends took advantage of his kindness. They had access to one of his debit cards and was spending bread left and right. Frequent expensive Amazon orders. He said he had 8 Netflix accounts in his name, 11 Hulu accounts in his name, extravagant gifts, bottle service in the club, the outfit that they wore to the club that night. A little watch though, cause I can't just be in the club, you know what I'm saying, without shining. How I'm gonna order bottle service in these old shoes, man? Come on, Trent. Where the bread at? This was after Trent had did what most of us want to do. He bought his mama a house and bought his grandma a house, which is admirable. But the bottle service and all the other crap, come on, man. Now check this out. Trent was signed for $20 million with $13 million guaranteed. Now that's a 4-year contract. Tell me why Trent's family at one point during a 10-month span managed to burn through $1.6 million. Like, Trent, you gotta get a hold on this, bro. What are you doing? You gotta cut people off, give out allowances or something. Meanwhile, while all this was going on, Trent said he was living on like $300 a week. He didn't really need nothing. So they was living a lifestyle that he wasn't even living. During this short span of time, Trent had to pay for like 12 funerals, multiple weddings. I'm sure he funded some vacations, probably paid out some debt. It could be tough if you're the only one that make it. And Trent felt like he had to take care of everybody. On top of playing for the Browns and expected to almost single-handedly turn that thing around. Being in a new league, learning a new playbook, studying film, keeping your physical condition up. The pressure and the stress of this whole thing really started to weigh Trent down. And it's funny, because his rookie year in 2012 is when that ESPN documentary Broke came out. Like, it dropped that same year. And I'm like, yo, Trent, either you saw this, you heard about it because you in the NFL locker room. I know the people in your family that was spending your bread had to see this. They probably watched it on a cable package that was in your name. Yet he continued to go down this road. Because at that point he was in so deep, he just said, nah, I get out. By the way, also during Trent's rookie year, his first son was born. So now you got a child in this situation. Trent recalled being extremely unhappy even though he had all his money. He basically had no support system, and everybody that should have been in the support system wanted him to support them. So this is weighing him down, weighing on him. Whether you know it or not, man, stress is a killer. Like, literally, stress has killed people. It makes you gain weight. You lose hair. You age. I mean, you're always aging, but you age like fast. Right, so he's dealing with all that, man. He goes into his second season, and like 2 weeks into the season, the Browns like, yo, this man got no vision. Get him out of here. Either way, man, the Browns traded Trent to the Colts, and it didn't go well. Over the next few seasons, Trent's lack of vision was on display for everybody to see. I mean, it was memes galore. Jokes about how he was legally blind. That was actually funny. I'll give it to him. However, I really just hate when people kick cats when they down. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not into it. In 2015, Trent was waived by the Colts, and the Raiders decided to do some weird charity work. They picked up Trent in March, gave him $600,000 guaranteed, and then released him in August. The Ravens then gave him a chance, but he couldn't stick on the roster. In 2016, after being out of contact football for a bit, Trent actually returned to Alabama and went through a practice with him. He was quoted afterwards saying it was the most fun he had had playing football in a very long time. There's multiple ways to read this. Number one, it's cool that he was able to just get rid of some of that pressure and just go out and play the game that he loved. As you read on in the quote, he goes on to say, it felt like being a kid again. And like, okay, cool, we do all like to sometimes feel like a kid again, but at the same time, you gotta handle your responsibilities, bro. And Trent just wasn't handling his money situation the way that he needed to. He just needed to call these people together, have a real conversation, or just cut that debit card off, cut these people off, and keep it moving, bro. And I know that's easier said than done, because I'm sure these are people you love and you care about. But at the same time, if you really care about them and they care about you, they gotta see where this thing is leading you. Relatively recently, man, Trent did an interview where he was saying that he's now only taking care of his immediate family. That's definitely improvement, and maybe that's cool. His immediate family may have never been the issue. He did have his brother on payroll for like 100 racks at one time. I don't know what his brother was actually doing, but he actually did take him off, man. And his brother was saying that once he realized the effect he was having on Trent, like, he never asked him for another dime. And that's what's up. Because when you don't have money, a lot of times you think that a certain amount of money is like way more bread than what it actually is. Or you might just kind of get caught up in that situation where you got access to this bread you never had access to before and you just can't control yourself. So the good thing is it seems like that relationship was mended, which kind of suggests that his immediate family and that relationship seems to be, you know, how you would want that relationship to be. So that's great. But this July, Trent signed with the CFL, and he recently destroyed this one dude. Now, I checked Twitter, of course, and the CFL fans, like, I saw mixed reactions, man. I saw some people, you know, saying that he was showing a lot of heart out there. I saw other people saying he was pouting and we signed him for this, and, you know, just typical internet stuff. But nonetheless, Trent is playing football again, so obviously that's a good thing. He's being paid to play football, obviously not as much as he once was. And I won't pretend to be an expert on the CFL, but while I was watching some of Trent's plays, his one of the analysts did say that the hardest position to go from CFL to NFL is running back. So that's, like, obviously not good. Like, my heart says, I hope Trent get another shot in the NFL. My head says when he was in the NFL, he never consistently showed any vision, bro. And now multiple years have passed. He's been with like 3 or 4 different NFL teams. He's playing in the CFL and not yet completely dominating, which I think he would have to pretty much dominate in order to get a look. You know what I'm saying? But either way, man, the Trent Richardson story is not over. And ultimately, it's going to be up to him how he decides to end his own movie. It's going to be a tragic ending, amazing redemption story. Only time will tell. Peace.